The Mancow, Mancow Muller. Welcome to the program.
The Mancow, the Mark. How are you?
Now, Mancow, for people that don't know you, we have to begin with an explanation. Where did the name come from?
Well, it's boring. It's a boring story. Look, my real name is Eric Muller. That's my slave name. Mancow is a stupid radio name that I came up with. Some of the stories are R-rated. The true story is I created a superhero on radio that was part man, part cow. His only super power was he had udders, and it was quite funny. And I would twist a balloon and talk, and people started going, "You're the Mancow." Very popular in Kansas City and the tri-state area there, and it stuck. I didn't pick the stupid nickname. Others picked it for me.
Okay, now that people are completely confused and intrigued, let's start at the beginning of the story. So, where did you come from, Mancow? Eric Muller?
I hate that name. I hate it. Always have. But whatever. I don't care. Nobody calls me that. Nobody that likes me calls me that. Nobody I like calls me that.
I guess you don't like me then. Okay.
Well, I'm working. Brother, it's so many years in the rearview mirror, and I really shark-like move forward. But my parents were East Coast. I'm a West Coast guy for a time, and now I'm in the middle of America because I got a job in Chicago.
And how did you break into radio? Where did this start? What were your first moves?
I was a child actor. I did the pre Broadway version of On Golden Pond. I played on Broadway at one point, but did hundreds of plays. And I was hungry, and I wasn't getting any help from my parents. And there was a job in radio. 500 people showed up. We got to read a paragraph from the Kansas City Star. And years later, the guy told me he didn't hire me out of the 500 because I was any good. He hired me because I looked clean cut and I looked like I wouldn't steal from him. And I was a producer on the Larry King Show from coast to coast, and that's how it began.
You were a producer on the Larry King Show?
Yeah. I mean, he had producers all over America.
Really?
But I would listen to that. Another guy named Jim Bohannon that I inducted in the Radio Hall of Fame. And I would sit and listen to how they did it and listen to the conversation, like the Bible or anything else. Great stories. And I learned from those guys. And, sometimes I would call in or sometimes I'd be part of the show. I talked to Hal Roach, the guy that gave us this, the Laurel and Hardy and Buster Keaton and all these greats, New Chaplin. So I got to talk to some really incredible people on that show.
I didn't realize you had that background. That's interesting. You learned from the best then.
Well, and my father, everybody takes credit for my career, Howard Stern and all these people. But Mark, the truth is I grew up listening to reel-to-reel tapes and records of old radio shows. So I love the theater of it. I still listen to, I'm going to be traveling across the country soon, and I'll be listening to old radio shows, Orson Welles, The Shat, anything with Orson Welles. I met Orson Welles as a kid, and Orson Welles offered me one of his Mercury Theater War of the World scripts, probably worth $500,000 to $1 million now. And I said, that's okay. I was trying to be polite. I never said no again when somebody offered me something.
Yeah, that could be worth some serious money. So you grew up, I associate with Chicago, but where did you grow up?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
And, when you have 29 women together in Kansas City, do you know what you have?
No.
A full set of teeth. You go back there now. I just spent a couple of weeks here with Barry Williams, who was Greg Brady on the Brady Bunch, and they're doing something to us. And people say, "Oh, well, you haven't been here. You don't know." No. I'm looking around America, and I don't want to get serious here right off the bat, but I mean, these people are sick. They're fat. They're dumb. And I don't mean that as an insult. That's me. That's my people. I'm just telling you. New York has what they have an education. I have this education. LA has what? Well, it's who you know. They name drop. So, the beautiful people, the smart people on the coast, and in between, we really have nothing. And I don't view it as flyover. I'm not being hateful. I hope people hear me out. But I do think we're being poisoned. And I think we're being fattened up by something. And it was really ugly to go home.
So you're a conundrum because you have so many interesting how do I say this? Competing intersectionalities. How about that? I wasn't a women's studies major, but I sound like one. You are known in some quarters for this sort of outrageous radio behavior, and yet I also know that you are a very devout follower of God, So how do you kind of it's this, how do you mix this stew up, and where just talk about that a little bit.
Well, this is a an odd time in my life to find me, Mark, and it's kind of why I wanted to not do this. No, I'm serious. Look, I have known, as you have known, many of the great preachers, the famous preachers that existed and exist today on our planet, and I don't like a lot of what I've seen. I do believe in fellowship. I do believe in the word of Christ. I do believe Christ consciousness has become kind of a phrase that people use that don't really believe. So I don't like to say that, but in the old term, Christ consciousness and the red parts of the Bible, that's what I'm into. And it becomes tough once you know how it's done. And I'm telling you, the greats, I've been behind the scenes of the greats. And, you start with a story, you go to this, you play a song, you manipulate, and then you get them. And certainly the heavy hitters like me, the people that were power brokers at one time that can offer money, they get special treatment. I got special treatment. And again, I'm a bit disenchanted right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go into more. Would you like to hear more?
Yeah. So you're kind of saying the show behind the show business side of televangelism, would you say?
Yeah. I wanted to be a preacher. That was the goal.
Mm.
And I don't have the calling. I wish I had the calling. I don't. You have to have the calling. You have to have God tell you this is for you. And I wish I had it, Mark. I don't have it. I do not have that calling. And there's a lot of guys that don't have the calling. They're good salesmen. Some are good teachers. Some are good storytellers. But it takes a lot more than that to be a shepherd. And I see a lot of guys that are good at one thing or the other, but not real good at the whole enchilada.
So what was the calling that you heard?
Well, my calling is to entertain. My calling is to make people laugh. If I make you think, which I do sometimes, it's a huge mistake. I probably, but look, I was filler between commercials. I was on the Fox News channel for 7.5 years, the highest rated segment in the morning. That was when it was Steve, Edie, and Brian. And I've had some highly rated TV shows here in Chicago. And look, a trifle. This is tough. This is a tough city. I'm telling you right now, we're knee deep in BS, and in fact, it's the crap is getting so deep. I got to stand on my head here. So I existed to make people laugh and to take their minds off these long commutes, and it's tough living in the city, man.
Yeah. So we've jumped around here. So you were at Fox for 7.5 years. You had your morning show in Chicago. What about these days? What are you doing these days?
Well, I was, oh God, I did, I've done some stuff with Billy Corgan. I'm working on some documentaries. I've got one coming out on the movie, The Sandlot. I have one I'm working on called Ennio Morricone. And he is the guy that did the music for The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and a lot of great movies. And some documentaries, some things like that. My podcast was monstrous. And I had the number 2 person at Instagram who was a Mancow fan tell me on the QT, is it Instagram? Number 2 person on Instagram. Yeah. Tell me on the QT, look, we goofed up with Rogan. We goofed up with Alex Jones and people like that. They're not going to let you get a foothold. So I am constantly shadow banned, constantly hassled. I was told that the Hunter Biden laptop was false and I got kicked off. And, this is after I get a couple of million viewers. And then I talked about the daughter of Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's not a pedophile. And I got kicked off. I never said he was. And of course, any questioning of the clot shots got me in trouble. Any questionings, and I don't even have outcomes, Mark. Just the questions about voting or whether this experimental medication is good for us. And I got clobbered because I'm a big target. In Japan, what is the saying, Mark? The nail that sticks up gets beaten down. Yep. Well, I was a loud target.
Yeah. To this day, I mean, I've known you for, 15 years. To this day, I'm not even sure of your politics. Your politics are difficult to categorize, wouldn't you say?
I love this interview because you've nailed a couple of things that nobody nails. One is that I am a conundrum, and there are conflicting things. Are you going to be the Christian that's serious, And but you know, it took the Passion of the Christ, Mark, the little movie you were part of. It took the Passion of the Christ for me to see something I'd never seen, and that was Jesus making a joke with his mom about a chair.
Wasn't that great? That is one of my favorite scenes. I'm shocked you'd mentioned that in the entire movie. It's the first time in history that Jesus was allowed to have a sense of humor of any movie ever made of him.
Well, I just got chills.
Yep.
Yes, yes. And Jesus never talked to Christians. And imagine going to the Middle East right now and trying to tell those people anything. So he had a sense of humor. He told a story. I think God gave us a sense of humor. I've learned to believe that stupid people do not have a sense of humor. I thought everyone has a sense of humor. It's not true. Dummies don't have a sense of humor. So I have a sense of humor. I also don't believe in this, Don Lemon stormed the church and this pacifist Christian thing. I'm more of a third or fourth Templar kind of attitude these days. I am not maybe I'm a South Park Christian and I occasionally curse. I never blaspheme, but I am not the they're destroying our church. You see it in Europe. These animals. Well, animals don't destroy. Worse than animals. Animals don't destroy everything around them. They come in and they're destroying the church, and the people are sitting there. That ain't the kind of Christian I am, Mark.
But I can't believe you said that about the splash in the water, because when I was with Mel, when I watched that scene, and I said to him, I said, "That's you, isn't it? That's probably what you did to your mom." And he looked at me like I was the stupidest rock on the planet. And he goes, "Well, who do you think made this movie?"
Yeah.
That's absolutely a Mel Gibson and his mom scene.
So I saw the movie with Mel Gibson. And the version I saw did not have the resurrection.
Correct. That was a James Dobson edition.
And I said to Mel, and I'm just some guy, it wasn't on official capacity, I just said, the movie means nothing. You have some guy that got the crap beat out of him and died. Who cares? It's like any other Mel Gibson movie, Apocalypto or any Lethal Weapon movie, some human being brutalized and dies.
Right.
Without the resurrection, Jesus was a kook. So I'm glad they added that at the end. It's brief, but it means everything.
Yeah, it was you. I remember it was James Dobson came in, and he was a little more polite than you were. He said, Mr. Gibson, what makes the story unusual is that he rose again. I think you should put the resurrection back in. So he must have heard it from a lot of people, including you.
Yeah. And look, how many witnesses were there? And this is fairly new to me too, within the last half of my life. I mean, a lot of people saw this guy, and there's a lot of periphery information about this guy came back, this son of God, this Jesus came back. And yet there's no witnesses to, dolphins walking up on land, but yet we quote all these nonsensical things, monkeys turning into human beings and everything.
Right.
Anyway.
No, that is such an astute.
My politics are freedom. I want to be left alone. My party would be, I would get elected and do nothing. Leave it alone. Leave us alone. My property taxes, Mark. I live in the slave state of Illinois. I pledge allegiance to the deep state of America and to the banana republic that it is now, and to our Chinese masters under surveillance with one world digital currency, FISA courts, and secret police for all. I live in the police state where I saw 1,200 people. I live in a residential area. I saw 1,200 gangbangers, soldiers from another country get off and stand in military formation. About 3 years ago, they were given phones and money and set free in our society. These people are here to crush, kill, and destroy. We have a country filled with soldiers. We're seeing it in Minnesota right now. And I want to be left alone. My property taxes, $1,000 a week, Mark. Our schools are awful. Our roads are like the surface of the moon. We don't know what a man and a woman is here. I mean, this is madness.
Why haven't you moved out like everybody else has?
Well, I have children. I have friends, and I made a very nice life for myself here. I'm able to afford $1,000 a week because this state's been good to me in other ways. But it's outrageous the amount of thievery from this government.
I stopped counting at 250 friends that I've lost from LA and they go to Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee, Idaho. That's it.
Well, look at what they're doing with Texas right now. Now they're flooding it with the Muslim types.
Okay, so you want to be left alone. So if you had a political party, it would be called the Leave Me the Hell Alone Party. Is that
Well,
right?
I thought libertarians were good, but then I met libertarians.
What's the problem with
I
libertarians?
mean, many, very creepy. Yeah, yeah. I like the libertarian thing until I started talking to them. Like, no rules for anything. So no rules on. It got too perverse for me. So
You mean the economic freedom is good, but there's just what? It's just free for all for everything else?
well, no age of consent, no hold
I see.
back on any drugs. If you want to shoot up on the street, you can. Total freedom. Well, I mean, I like total freedom. It sounds good, but I also don't want chaos. So yeah, I don't want some 6-year-old guy with a 10-year-older and an Epstein Island kind of thing. I don't like that, and I believe in the death penalty for pedophiles and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know where I fit. I think probably like most Americans, none of the above.
Yeah. I really like the libertarians. I go to their conventions. I get invited to speak and at their conventions. What is it called? Every year, the next one's in Palm Springs or Vegas or somewhere. But I really like those people. But I didn't realize there was no age of consent laws. That's a little strange.
Well, that was I mean, maybe they've changed, but that was certainly what I was told. And I was the guy that brought Wayne Allen Root
Hmm.
out on stage to be president at their convention.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
I had quite a big footprint in that movement for a while.
I think Ron Paul was a different kind of libertarian because he had kind of a pro-life component to his libertarianism, whereas a lot of libertarians want to stay out of that issue altogether. So the Ron Paul Rand Paul is like maybe a different strain of that stuff.
Yeah, I had to laugh today. The communists are upset about Greenland. Leave them alone. Greenland for Greenlanders. Greenland, yeah, but America's for, well, not for Americans. But Greenland, and the sacred borders of Ukraine, the sacred borders. But meantime, Mark, the State Department. I was at the White House for several days over the last couple of years with Trump. That White House. Do you know what the number one thing left at our southern border is?
No.
Muslim prayer rugs.
Hmm.
Yeah. So our sacred borders. It's just they're so hypocritical and so creepy and really just so satanic, right?
What do you make of the Greenland play by Trump? What is that about?
Well, I overheard some stuff that I probably shouldn't talk about here, but we're going to get Greenland, and maybe we just give everybody there $1 million. I've never understood why our Jewish friends didn't give all the wackadoodles each $1 million. Do it in 1967. There was 15 of them then. Hey, here's $1 million. Nobody wants these maniacs. Anyway, that's a long story.
Hmm.
I think we're gonna buy them out, or we're gonna do something. We have to, because China and Russia are making inroads. And like everything else with Trump, people can chuckle and everything, and then it's going to happen. You will see, and maybe it won't be this presidency. Maybe it'll be several presidencies from now when China and Russia are there, and oh man, we really better do something. But they want it, and we better get it, or we're going to lose it. And we
Yeah,
better go. And I think Cuba's going to be ripe for us to snatch here soon too.
I
And
was
I
surprised.
like that. I really do like Yeah, I'm a freedom guy. Yeah, but I like See, there's the conflict again. I like a manifest destiny America. I like an America that's on the move, and I like when we kick the butts of despots and get rid of scum.
It's not such a crazy idea. I mean, Harry Truman tried to buy Greenland way back. I think it was like for 50 million bucks or something way back when. But Trump, he thinks outside of the box, and he has been talking about Greenland for what, 5 or 6 years now. He does seem to really want it. But I don't know. I was in Japan recently, as you know, and they're talking there about the Donro Doctrine, and they're not quite sure what that means. What do you think? What do you think the Donro Doctrine is?
Well, look, Truman also wanted to buy Trinidad,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly. I met Harry Truman as a kid. How wild is that?
Right, because you're Missouri, the Show Me State.
Yeah, yeah. And I used to see his wife, Bess, out and
Hmm.
about sweeping her porch and just going about her daily business.
Please tell me there's a Mancow Harry Truman photo somewhere.
No, brother, I was a fetus,
Shoot.
but I remember meeting him, kind of like Bill Clinton. Isn't it interesting? All of our presidents come from nothing, and yet they always had meetings with presidents when they were kids. What was Bill Clinton doing hanging out with JFK? Why did they film John Kerry? Every guy I've ever met that went to Vietnam, they had snapshots of one or two pictures of them in Vietnam. Jim Kerry, whatever. He had a full film crew. Yeah, because it's all scripted. Obama was scripted. Obama was an actor out of Chicago. Harry Lennox was the actor that Obama is based on. Look up Harry Lennox and you'll find out who Obama's act is based on. Harry Lennox is a much better man than Obama, but no, it's all scripted, Mark. It's all scripted. Look, the doctrine is we've got to get Greenland. It's for our strategic defense. And Trump knows this. And of course, Trump sees things that we don't see, Mark.
But so the Asians are wondering, hey, Xi Jinping is going to watch this happen, and he's going to say, yeah, that's why I need Taiwan.
Yeah. Right. So we should not have protection so it doesn't embolden China. It's apples and hand grenades argument to me. My father was a $30,000 a year salesman. He was not given to any kind of weirdness. I knew Kim Clement, the prophet, quite well. Everything he predicted that I knew of, everything didn't come out. It was not right, but people still tell me about Kim Clement.
This is the guy who predicted Trump would be president?
Well, sure. And so did I, and so did you. But whatever. I was the first guy on that bandwagon here on the radio.
Mancow, I won 9 bets in 2016, 9 bets from really, really smart people. And this is my sophisticated polling operation that I based those 9 bets on. I was walking in my community, and there's a security guard that roams around. And there were 2 one night. And I always, as I ask people that I run into, I said, what are you guys going to do for the election? And it was a black guy and a Hispanic guy. And they both said we're voting for Trump. And I said, are you guys Republicans? And they said, no, we're Democrats. We had to re-register so we could vote for Trump. That's the moment that I knew he was going to win. In California, a black and Hispanic security guard switching registrations to vote for Trump. It was weird.
Look, it's a beautiful thing. And I was going to say about my father, he got in the late 70s, my brothers with me together, and he said, look, I had a vision from God. And this was not his thing at all. If you knew him, this is just one time. And he said, China is going to take Taiwan, and you'll know then it's over. When that happens, know that America's over. Get your gold and get ready to run to the hills. That was his message. And it was insane.
But your
and
brother,
I think about how Lindsay
brother had a vision that Taiwan was going to be taken by China.
He had a vision from God, and it was nuts. And if you had said that in 78, 79, forget it. And look, all of I was going to say the Hal Lindsey stuff and all the revelation stuff that I read. Even Donny Osmond took me aside and said, "Look at this. I mean, you can every day get your newspaper and your Bible, and they sync up, Mark. They sync up. Sorry, and we're living in it. We're living in it, brother. So yes, I think Taiwan being given over is terrifying and horrible.
I don't think Trump's going to let Taiwan go, though. Do you?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that is the fear that I hear in Asia is that Trump is reverting to a sphere of influence sort of a thing. Hey, this is our sphere of influence over here, Greenland, etc. You can have your spheres to Russia and to China. That's their fear. So does that mean Taiwan and Japan are in the sphere of China? I wrote a column recently. General MacArthur, the Emperor and General MacArthur had these great conversations, and MacArthur wanted Japan to be disarmed. And the Emperor's like, we can't do that. Who's going to protect us? And MacArthur famously said, America will protect you like we protect California, right? And if that's going to change, then these people need to know that.
Well, you know what? Look, I have a heart for Japan. I love Japan. I have been in Japan a lot, and I have been to China. And well, read what Albert Einstein had to say about the Chinese. Look, I met a lot of good Christians everywhere, but even in China. And but that's a mindset that we don't want to control the world. I'll tell you that.
Now, have you ever considered running for political office? I think you have.
Yeah, no, I was. Yes, yeah. I could have been governor of Illinois. You just have to write the check. And I got far enough along, and they said I could win. And it's all fake. It's all fixed. The votes are fake. I worked the election booth several times, and the votes hadn't been counted from the last 2 or 3 times. The ballots were all stuffed. So do you? Hey, I want to play basketball. Do you want to play for the Generals against the Globetrotters? Do you want to be Clubber versus Rocky at the end of the movie, knowing how it ends.
How
So
could you?
this
How
is
could you have
okay.
won? How could you win Illinois as a Republican, though?
Well, I didn't have enough money, but if I had enough money, anyone could win.
I mean,
You know,
the
there's
Republican governor hasn't been a.
one, and he was, he had the money.
Mhm.
If you have enough money and you tell them you'll look the other way and let them keep stealing as they steal, and you'll keep the schools communist, and and keep the roads awful so everybody's working all the time. Yeah, you can get elected as Republican. You just have to be able to you have to sell your soul.
And you have to create your own party too, the Leave Me the Hell Alone Party. LM.
Oh, Mark, that's you.
That's me. I thought it was your party.
I don't know. Just leave me alone is good. Yeah, I really had enough government, haven't you? Enough of them fixing things. Well, they've done a good job in California. Those people in Palisades,
Well,
they're now they're destroying land so they can get it on the cheap.
well,
All by design.
I know for a fact that we both have an interest in Japan. You're a Japanophile. Let me just be a devil's advocate with you and say that Japan is the best run, the best case example of socialism that works of anywhere in the world. I wouldn't say it's communism, but it's definitely socialism, and government is very involved in people's lives. What do you have to say to that?
Well, I hate it. I hate it. And I don't want the government in my life. I don't want it in my life in Japan. I don't want it here or anywhere else. I want to be left alone. But look, Mark, the real story of Japan's success is that they're Japanese.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth. We have allowed in a bunch of low watt, no educated. You can't people that cannot be educated and that cannot be motivated, and they don't want to work and they don't want to be part of it. And so it's just too much for those of us that produce like me to fund the multitude, the endless multitude of morons.
Now, your admiration bordering on obsession with Japan, where does that come from? Ultraman. Is that Ultraman? Of course. I grew up watching Ultraman in real time.
Look, my nearest neighbor when I grew up in Suicide Falls, Missouri, was a half mile away on a dirt road. And this show came in from Japan, Ultraman, and my mind was blown. And then I just went there as soon as I had enough money to get there, and I just fell in love with the people. And they're so orderly and polite, and it's clean, and they're working together. Here we have everybody tearing at us. And, I was shocked, being in Chicago and then go to Japan, and you walk around and store displays are left out on the street. If they're having a street sale, a sidewalk sale,
right,
things are left out overnight. In Chicago, the doctors and lawyers would steal everything.
The doctors and lawyers would steal everything?
No, any criminal in Chicago is called a future doctor or lawyer.
Okay.
Yeah. And if they're 19 and 7 feet tall and 300 pounds, good kid. Good kid. I mean, except for the raping and killing, good kid. Good. Just strong.
Now, why was Ultraman better than Superman or Batman for you as a kid?
I don't know. I mean, first of all, just look at it. It's cooler. I mean, I can get up and walk around, Mark. The monsters, I love the monsters, the battles. And it was just, look, even now for me, you understand that I go to Germany, I go to France, Australia, wherever. I travel the world. There I am. You go to Japan, it really is as close to going to another planet as you can get.
Hmm. It's a little bizarre for me because, as you know, I grew up there, and I watch all these things that I grew up watching, taking for granted, are suddenly being discovered by us in America. For instance, I used to watch the Power Rangers 50 years ago. They were called the Go Rangers.
Yeah.
In Japanese. And it's just wild to see my American friends discovering Japanese pop culture. And the amount of tourism in Japan by Americans, by foreigners, is just staggering. They're everywhere.
Yeah. And I hope they keep Japan for the Japanese. And I hope they keep it as it is now. And, you go into restaurants that are 400 years old and get a delicious bowl of ramen. And people are thankful that you're there. Here in Chicago, you walk into most businesses and they grunt at you. Big water buffaloes, big fat beasts. In Japan, they're bowing, they're polite, they're happier in their store. I told one woman, I went to a ramen shop, and I said, "This is my last meal. I had to come back for because this is the best meal I had in Japan." And she started crying.
Mm.
So honored that my last meal in Japan before I went back to America would be at her place. So look, and crazy things. I mean, I don't know if Americans can understand. And again, I'm in Chicago, a land of chaos. But no graffiti. The elevator door opens, people get off the elevator, and then you get on the elevator in Japan, an escalator. You stand to the side so people can walk past you. In Chicago, I see it, and I really just want to beat them up with a pillowcase filled with hammers. The people that just eat and just drop trash everywhere at where they stand. And I saw the same thing in the Middle East in certain neighborhoods. Just no regard for anything. But the Japanese, they don't litter. They're not screaming and yelling on the subway. It's peace. It's worth something.
Yeah, there is something. The Bushido Code, as you know, is very similar to the Ten Commandments. In fact, it may be the Japanese version of the Ten Commandments that came over thousands of years ago. But they do have a code they live by that keeps them very peaceful. But I don't know how to fully explain why they. I mean, think of it. There's no tips in Japan, and yet the service is better than it is here. But we have tips here. It should be better here, right?
And Mark, I may lose you soon. I don't know if you want to. We can keep going, but I think it looks like I might lose you. But no, and I love here how they turn the screen towards you before they do anything. Here, give us money. And of course, Ultraman is partially based on Christ. And yeah.
A lot of their pop culture figures, interestingly, there's a very famous pop figure called Ampanman. Do you know about Ampanman?
His head is made of bread.
Well, it's a Christ figure because you eat his head, as you sort of eat the bread and body of Christ. And that was made, by a very religious person as well.
Do you know why the croissant is shaped like it's shaped?
No.
Well, it's not French, it's Austrian. And they baked crescent moons, and as they chased the Islamic invaders out, they sat and ate a croissant. It would be like the Islamic types eating crosses of bread. So the crescent moon of a croissant is the Muslim flag.
Is that right?
Get out of here! Get!
Wow. So you again. So I'm creating your political party. So this leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's also don't bring in too many people from other countries at one time. Party, would that be correct as well?
Well, and let in people that can contribute.
Right.
Yeah. And look, import the third world, you become the third world. I would bring back paper ballots. You vote on the same day. Look, American Idol can do millions of votes in one night. So can America. So there you go.
But you would want some sort of, in the old days in America, we would limit immigration every 5 or 10 or 20 years or whatever. We'd turn the faucet on and off depending on what we needed. Yeah. So you would kind of go back to that kind of a system where you see, what do we need right now? We need workers in this area. You open the spigot, close it when it's too much. Is that what you would do?
Yeah. For instance, we wouldn't let in a German scientist, but we'll let in a Somalian daycare worker. Right. Yeah. Brother, as a kid in Kansas City, I paid money to go into a tent and see a fat woman with tattoos. Now that's all I see. And they've got blue hair and they're very angry and we listen to them. We need to make asylums great again. There's another thing. There you go. That'll be the next thing for my campaign.
Make asylums great again.
Make asylums great again.
That's your MAGA.
And loitering, let's make that illegal again. When you live in Chicago, you get to open your door and you see, again, one of these doctors or lawyers. They're just fantastic folks, dropping a deuce on your front step and pulling their pants up and walking along. Or, look, I had little girls. My girls are now 20, but, little children in the city and guys waving their genitals on the streets and, can't say anything. No, just precious. They're just so precious. No, we need to get back to reality, man.
You brought up family for a second. Let's pivot there. How did you raise daughters? How did you raise kids in this environment and with the work you do? Did they ever come home and say, "Dad, I can't believe you said that word yesterday on the radio"? Like, what was that like?
Well, I had scientists and I had politicians and I had a rally to open the stores. And some of their friends went on stage with me. They did not. And the teacher said, "Your father wants people to die because I wanted the schools open. And by the way, they should have been open during the pandemic. I had a teacher. I forget the name of the book, but it was about some African tribe, and they were killing Christians. And if you have twins, they killed one of them. And I have twin daughters. I'm like, why are they reading this in English literature class? And the teacher said, well, that's Michelle Obama's favorite book. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. Give me some Shakespeare. Give me some Chaucer. Give me something good. And they did. They did eventually move into that. But no, it wasn't easy. And I want to say to every man, every woman listening, that watching this, if you're ordinary and you're raising an ordinary kid right now, you're really extraordinary. I mean, ordinary is extraordinary right now because we are. And look, I wouldn't put on any of the crap music. They weren't allowed to watch TV. We did give them this thing, the box of spiders that is the cell phone. And
how old?
Lost. It probably would have ended my marriage.
How old did they get their cell phones?
Mark. Oh, we have to know where they are. They have to be able to call us. We have to. And the minute they got the cell phone, Mark, 13, 14 years old, they would put on plays. They would create different kingdoms in different rooms. They did art. They had imagination. The second I gave them that phone, and there was all kinds of rules, which I knew was a joke. The second I gave them that phone, my kids, as I knew them, were gone. It was this. And these cell phones are killing these kids, man. So it wasn't easy. Sorry. Long answer to a short question. How do you raise kids in a liberal paradise like Illinois to not be freaks? It ain't easy.
Did they ever listen to your shows growing up?
No, listen, Mark, I want to tell you something else. Millions of dollars paid to the FCC. My show is for adult men. Mm-hmm. And so when people come up, oh, my son loves your show, my daughter loves your show, I would say to them in front of you're a very bad parent. Now, we didn't blaspheme. Mm-hmm. And it was some common sense, man. So it's the stuff you're hearing right now. But I was on a panel with Rush Limbaugh and Howard Stern and all of these guys. And Disney Radio was saying, how do we get kids to listen to radio? And everybody had a theory. Disney Radio was starting up. And boy, haven't they turned out to be creeps. Anyway, they came to me and they said, what do you think? I said, I don't care. I don't care. It's my job. I don't want 10-year-olds to listen to me.
Well, you can't stop them. I mean.
Well, yes, you can. What a weak statement.
They've got one parent at home. They have one parent.
Yeah, you turn it off.
They have one parent at home. The other works. There's no parental supervision. They're going to turn you on. You can't stop that. I bet you had a lot of teenage boy listeners, didn't you?
So we should have nothing for.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to.
I think you're thinking of Michael Jackson.
I'm not going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole.
No, I didn't cater to boys or little girls, and I had no interest in that. And my target demo, and we killed it, was adult men.
And so you've gotten two girls to the age of 20. They seem to be safe. They're alive.
Yes.
And they're productive citizens.
Interesting. I'm thinking about what you're saying here. We have a warning now on everything, right? Everything on TV, there's warnings. There might be strobe lights.
Right.
And yet, they're taking a picture of my house. They just dropped off a picture Amazon. Hi, how are you? Okay. So, no, but they have warnings for everything, strobe lights, whatever. But they don't warn you that two guys may be getting together on their desk. There's going to be graphic sex with two men on a desk, which is what I saw on Mad Men. Was that what it's called? Mad Men? Yeah, Mad Men.
Yeah.
See it, man. It's great. Put it on two dudes who are getting it on their desk. Hard pass.
So the cell phone has ruined teens. Yeah, I think ruined humanity. Remember, I think we're of the same generation. We just sort of, our parents just said, go out and be back by 6 o'clock. And we had like almost no supervision, right? Wasn't that your experience as well?
Yes, and we need that, and our brains need that. And I live in a neighborhood where nothing's ever happened. Nobody's ever been hurt. Nobody's ever been killed. Nothing. I live in a nice neighborhood. My kids had to have the phone. They got to have it. And I lost. My kids are great. We supplement in other ways.
Yeah.
They listen to classical music. they read Shakespeare, they read the classics. It's what I pushed on them. And look, and they're Christian. They accepted Christ. And I have a lot of my friends, and I know you've heard this, Mark Joseph, you're of the generation where my friends said, we're going to let our kids decide. Well, they're going to pick something.
Yeah.
That void is in us. We have to fill it with something.
Right.
And it could be Star Wars or something really stupid. And I've seen people choose really stupid things as their faith.
Right.
So I gave them God and I gave them art, and we evolve upward as we live with art. So they're doing quite well. But you got to say no. Do you know that word? That kind of word's kind of been forgotten, hasn't it? No.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a weird juxtaposition. We were just sort of in the wild, wild west when we were raised. Our parents let us eat Cookie Crisp for breakfast. I'm thinking, like, what in the world? How was I allowed to eat cookies for cereal for breakfast? That one I can't quite figure out.
Mark, Hong Kong food and Cookie Crisp. Now you're talking my language. And I remember when we had BB guns and we were fighting in the backyard, and my mom would say, don't shoot each other in the eye. And yet we're squeezing BBs out of our skin. I may lose you. If I lose you, thank you, and I love you.
I'm still here, but I'm trying. Maybe you're my therapist. I was watching 5 episodes of Get Smart until 1 a.m., waking up and eating Cookie Crisp after sleeping for 5 or 6 hours. And then in the afternoon, it was like, come back at 6 o'clock. It was the wild, wild west. How did we even survive?
Brother, look at what we had on TV. Look at the commercials now. We didn't have commercials like that. Everything was aimed at a family. I mean, I watch Godzilla movies and Universal horror movies, but it was aimed at, you didn't have to worry about the social engineering of every show. You didn't have to worry about the social engineering of the commercials. The commercials are just god awful now, just the worst. And so, did you see that scientists today, they created the strongest suction cup ever?
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how they pulled it off.
All right. Well, I think I saw the social engineering, by the way.
Lighten the mood.
I saw the social engineering. I could clearly see what they were trying to do to us. I'll never forget, like in my science textbooks in 9th grade, every picture of a woman working was like a woman with a jackhammer and a hard hat. And I know they were trying so hard to make us think that women wanted to be jackhammer operators on the streets.
Yeah.
And I would look around my classmates. I'm like, nobody in this class, none of my friends who are girls want to be jackhammer operators. This is ridiculous. You're trying to force us or force them to be jackhammer operators. I think we saw through that, didn't we?
Well, we did. I will tell you that I happened to be at MTV when my show was one of the top shows on earth, top 5. And I was at MTV several times, and I saw meetings, and one was they wanted to promote white women and black guys. It's social engineering, whether you're okay with it or not. That's not the point. I'm not making a statement. I'm just saying that it's social engineering. It wasn't just about music videos. And the next year it was they wanted to promote homosexuality, and this was a company-wide push. So yes, look, I got Martin Luther King Jr. for a month every year. That communist philanderer, I got that every year for a month. We got a day or two on Marilyn Monroe and maybe half an hour on Thomas Jefferson. It was all by design. And look at our America right now.
I also noticed that every ad growing up would have a family with 2 kids, 3 max, never more than 3 kids in every advertisement I ever saw, as I recall. And I even felt that one. Like, so when I had 6 kids, it was like my middle finger at all the stupid ads that I'd ever seen where there was a mom and a dad and 2 kids. But I felt that in so many ways, in the advertising, in the textbooks, in our teachers. They were trying to condition us to live a certain way.
I think they just didn't want to pay for extra kids in the ad.
Well, whenever you imagine getting on an airplane with me and going to Japan for an 11-hour flight, and you see me walking down the aisle with 6 little kids behind me, it's a traveler's worst nightmare.
Oh, well, Mark, I was going to have 8 or 10, and then I had 2.
Well, to teach his own. It's America. You can do whatever you want. But by the way, in talking about Japan, and everything looks rosy, but it really isn't so rosy because their population is collapsing. They have 1.5 million young men who stay indoors all day long and don't leave. They're under a major depression. It really is, even though it looks outwardly clean and perfect, it really is a society that's collapsing. And something like in the year 3000, there'll be 1 person left at this rate. So, yeah, there are a lot of good things in there. By the way, the one thing when you travel the world, what I appreciate the most is the flexibility of Americans that is best typified by the American waitress. You go to a diner in America and you say, hey, can I substitute the such and such with the such and such? She'll say, sure, honey. You try that in Japan, good luck. No substitutions, please. In fact, one time I asked, can I get a little side of mayonnaise? And she said, no, we don't have it. I said, do you have mayonnaise? She said, yes. I said, can I have a little side? She said, no.
I just steal. That's what I do. You cannot talk with them if you don't understand. So what I do is if I want a little cup that has a little kaiju character or something on it, I leave $100. Because if you try to explain, I'm from America, I can't get this. I just want this little cup. I know it only costs you 3 yen, but no, you're right. I want an extra straw. No, you get one straw. I just grab a straw. You can't talk with them. So in that way, I don't like Japan. They are rather robotic.
Yeah, there's a lack of flexibility. They love rules, first of all. They love to keep the rules, which is good. But there's something about that American waitress. I'm just telling you, Sally, who is at that corner diner, she will make anything for you. She'll switch anything for you. There's something beautiful about an American waitress.
What are you talking about?
Or waiter.
Sally
the waitress.
I don't know. There's nobody on my corner named Sally.
Who are your waitresses' names? What are their names?
Dude, I was a waitress before my operation. No, look. So yeah, what we're discovering here is talking. There is no perfect place until we go up there, I guess. I want it every way. I want it my way. If you just follow my way, everybody be happier, or I'd be happier anyway. Yeah,
so there is a little bit of, you're looking at Japan with rose-colored glasses. If someday I'll take you to my bank in Japan, and I'll just tell you, you can spend 5 hours getting a check cashed in Japan, and then it might take 30 days. You take a check into a bank in Japan, first of all, they look at you like you're absolutely crazy. What is this piece of paper with a signature and amount on it? They'll take it to the back room. They'll all pore over it. They'll invite all the staff to look at this thing. And then they'll come back and say, oh, we have to send it we're going to fax it to America. And then it'll take about 30 days. And I remember I said, well, wouldn't a fax go and come back right away? Well, yes, but it's going to take time to evaluate this check. And so literally it took me 30 days to get a check credited.
You know what else I find weird is the fact that they don't, I'm an autograph collector. I've met everybody, and I like to get autographs. And they have the little stamps, right? They don't really sign their name.
Well, for official documents, you use the stamp, right? Yeah. Now, what do you think about Japan's first female prime minister who was in a heavy metal band and is a fan of Judas Priest and Van Halen?
I just spent several weeks ago, I spent a weekend with Rob Halford, the lead singer, Judas Priest. And also there was Alice Cooper, the great Christian rocker. And I think Halford is becoming more, the older you get, the more you realize there's more to this than just this. Right. And so I think Halford's coming around. He's basically a pretty good guy. I'm not into his lifestyle, but and I knew Van Halen. David Lee Roth was an absolute creep. Sammy Hagar's the rock and roll version of Jimmy Buffett. Just a great marketer and a great fella. Yeah, I'm okay with it.
We like the Sharon album. Don't you like the Sharon album too?
No.
You don't like the Sharon album?
So Gary Sharon took over for Sammy Hagar. Sammy Hagar took over for David Lee Roth, and David Lee Roth took over for Robert Fleischman. Right. Whatever. Anyway, I went to see, I was there, man. I was an invited guest. Sunset Strip, the first show with Gary Sharon. And within a song or two, everybody went. It was the most returned album in American history.
Well, I liked Once. I liked Fire in the Hole. Those are great songs. I think the problem was that Sharon didn't have the ability to say no to things Eddie wanted to do, like that crazy piano song, right? That's the problem to me of Van Halen 3.
Van Halen burnt out, brother, and Sharon was not very good, and that album's not very good. And you can't sell me on it. I'm sorry. I was in the business of selling them, and I had for years. And it was that was a dog, but it didn't have fleas.
Well, I think there were 3 really good songs in there. Fire in the Hole.
Sharon is a mincing, uncomfortable frontman for me to watch.
So you liked him better in Extreme?
I thought Extreme was soft rock pablum as well, although Guns N' Roses absolutely stole, or excuse me, Metallica absolutely stole some stuff from Extreme that might have put Extreme on the map.
I'm going to mark you down as not a Gary Cherone fan.
I like Gary. That's the problem. I like him. I like you, but I don't want you as the lead singer of Van Halen.
Well, I would have said no to Eddie if I was in Van Halen. I would have said, that song should be for your grandchildren, a private thing. Let's not have you playing the piano and say, how many say I?
Eddie Van Halen was a cokehead and became more and more erratic and more vicious as he died. That's my understanding. I know very well Michael Anthony and Sammy Hagar, and I could take you around the house and show you all the gifts and wonderful things from Sammy Hagar. Good guys. Eddie I met, and he was just a mean guy, man.
So he was in the middle of his addictions when you met him, probably.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I assume.
Yeah. Well, we haven't, as we wrap up this interview, we haven't spent a lot of time on rock and roll. We've talked about politics and your new political party and all those things, but who are some of your favorite artists and your favorite bands over the years?
I got to spend a week ago, I got to spend significant time with the band The Kinks.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to go for 1 day. It went for 3. They played my wedding. At my Christmas party last year, Kansas played, Ronnie Platt and Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins. Look, I was brought up in the heart of America. So I'm a rock and roller, man. I like rock and roll. I don't like the Beatles. That's a stupid thing to say, right? I just heard it too much. It was always around. It's always around, and it doesn't interest me. I like discovering things. I love the band Genesis. I love Human League. I love Soft Cell. I love Yaz. None of these you probably know.
Of course I do. Human League, Human. It's a classic.
Yeah, they're playing my birthday coming up this year. So anyway, yeah.
So the 80s...
And by the way, my problem with the Beatles is they brought all this New Age mysticism and all this nonsense. There's a reason all of these things, these ancient gods and these ancient ideas went away, because they didn't work and Christ replaced it. And they brought a lot of this stuff back, this evil from the East, back into our Western world. And I think the Beatles were a disaster for us and our culture.
Yeah, but did you know that John Lennon really switched a lot of his views at the very end of his life?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
I did a piece one time because I did a deep dive. He rejected the theory of evolution. He said he probably would have voted for Reagan. And, he was calling into the 700 Club hotline asking for prayer for his family. How weird is that?
I did know that. And I did know, and he was into sailing, and he hung out with Peter Boyle, the dad from Everybody Loves Raymond, was his best friend. And It's John Lennon that we've been fed, right? The media's created a different John Lennon. He loved Pat Robertson. He loved the 700 Club.
He was writing letters to Oral Roberts. And the one thing he had trouble with was the divinity of Christ. He really struggled with that. And then he converted and then kind of deconverted. He wrote a song in response to Bob Dylan's Gotta Serve Somebody. I think it was called Serve Yourself. So he was all over the map. But, he said he was Church of England, and he wasn't this anti-God crusader that people made him out to be, the press made him out to be.
Well, Imagine is a horrible song.
Okay, but Imagine was first. Imagine originates in Yoko Ono's poetry book before she even met John Lennon.
Well, so, I met Yoko. I've seen her, whatever that is, at caterwauling, and I think Yoko. Yeah.
You're calling her singing caterwauling?
Yes.
Allegedly. I think you have to add the word allegedly so you don't get sued.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrific.
Well, Mancow, it was great to spend some time with you. Thanks for making the time. Is it possible that you may have ADHD? I'm just throwing it out there.
I don't know, but I will tell you, I do want to let you know that I am transitioning.
Is it an undiagnosed ADHD?
No. I'm low latent personality. I get very bored and I can't handle stupid questions. And most people are on C. I'm on LMNOP. But no, I want you to know, seriously, I'm transitioning from a chubby man to a fatter one.
Well, you don't have to do that. You can be a Japanese, since you're Japanese influence. Japanese have not gained a pound in 2,000 years. I don't know how they've managed to pull it off, but 4% of their population is obese or overweight or whatever it is.
And they're sumos.
And they're sumo, the 4% of the sumo wrestlers.
Hey, listen, man, I'll tell you something. There's a reason we're fat, Mark. our food in America is incredible.
Right. But don't eat it.
So,
Eat
yeah,
a Japanese.
don't my ADHD, look, we don't, not everything. I was really ahead of my time in radio because not everything has to be talked to death.
Right.
And sometimes I don't know is a good answer. And
Right.
sometimes the best question is why. And we belabor everything, we talk it to death. So don't mistake my ADHD, as you said, for me just being a little bit smarter than you.
Well, thanks for visiting. I will use that as the ending for the show, and it's great to have you in
brother.
today.
I'll see you in Japan.
We'll talk to you again.
Bless.